was not being done with the voice. So now we have an objector, that is Purvapakshi, comes says, you said in the previous statements that it is different from Maya. So Maya itself is Mithya. So when you say it's different from Maya, it should be real. Mithya means unreal, apparently real. So therefore, Vayu should be, since it's different from Maya, therefore it should be real also. So there are two things. One is the pure consciousness, which is real, and Vayu is also real. And says that's what he said. So because it's different from Maya, so he's trying to catch on that word. And the objection has been overruled. It says because the differences are one with the jati and one with the vastu. So the understanding should be, suppose you are different from me, right? That is we understand. But I am a human being. Since you are different from me, so should I conclude that you are not a human being? Because so we both are human beings only. So we, from the same jati, internally there can be differences. But from the point of plants and other things, we are human beings. So when you say they are different from plants, so we are different from plants. At the same time, you are different from me. Therefore, I am a human being. Therefore, when I cannot conclude, therefore you cannot be a human being because you are different from me. So because within the jati, same jati, there can be differences, and that's what is being pointed out there. So even though the Maya is Mithya and the product of Akasha is Mithya and Vayu is also different, each one is different from other, does not mean that they are real. So that's what is the objection has been ruled. So one is Vijati difference, another is Sajati difference. This has to be understood. Vijat means different species difference, and all are of the same species. Maya, Akasha, Vayu, all are of the same species in the terms of Mithya, but they are different from Sat, which is pure existence, which is real. So that's what is there to be understood. So that's what the objection has been answered. And he is emphasizing here in the 85 sloka, that's what we have to do now. Sadasatva vivekasya, sadasatva vivekasya, prastutatvat chinchatam, prastutatvat chinchatam, asato vantarabheda, asato vantarabheda, Astam tachintayatrikam, astam tachintayatrakim. So together, sadasatva vivekasya prastutatvat sachintyatam asato vantarabheda astam tachintayatrakim. So sadasat vivekasya prastutatvat Chinchatam. So right now we are talking about what is the difference from Sad and Asat. And that is Viveka. That is the discriminative Viveka that we need. What is real and what is not real. And that is the topic of present Prastutatvad. So that is the topic of the conversation or topic of the discussion here that has to be contemplated upon. And Asato Vantara Bheda, and not the differences within the Asat, like Vayu is different from Maya, Maya is different from Akasha. We are not interested in those differences. He is different, she is different, table is different. All those differences are in the unreal only. But what we are talking about is what is the difference between that which exists and what is the nature of that existence itself. That's what we are concerned, not are the superficial differences. Ring is different from a bangle, is different from a necklace, but we are not worried about those differences. We are worried about this ring and the gold. So what is the difference between the two? They look up ring and is gold itself, at the same time ring is different from gold. So that is the discrimination that we need to do in this. That's what our discussion is. That is the Viveka required. And the discrimination cannot be done by physically separating the two. I cannot physically separate a ring one side and a gold one side, because the gold is the very substratum of the ring. Therefore, I cannot remove the Sat part and then put the name form outside, because there is no outside, because everywhere is Sat, and therefore I cannot even think of a separation, and I have to intellectually separate while looking through the world. And this is true across. So self-realization involves not sitting somewhere and trying to imagine some Atma or somewhere. Nothing will happen. What will happen is you will go to sleep or do something else. But what needs to be done is intellectually discriminate in every perception that I see. These two things are always together, and I have to intellectually separate what is real part and what is unreal part. Unreal part do not give that much importance other than for transactional purposes. So ring is different from bangle for transaction purposes, but from the point of essence, what counts is the gold, and that's what is the essence is. In the same way, sadasat vivekasya prasutatvatsa chintatam. So chintatam, that has to be contemplated upon. What is that? Sat and asat vivekam. The nitya vastu vivekam has to be done. That's 84. Let's do 86. Sadvastu brahma sishtom sho. Sadvastu brahma sishtom shaha. Vayur mithya yatha viyatu. Vayur mithya yatha viyatu. Vasayitva chiram vayoho. Vasayitva chiram vayoho. Mithyatvam marutam chajit. Mithyatvam marutam chajit. Together. Sadvastu brahma sishtom sho. Vayur mithya yatha viyatu. Vasayitva chiram vayoho. Mithyatvam marutam chajit. So sadvastu brahma. So sadvastu. The vastu is the Sat Brahman. Vastu means vasati. Vasati means that which exists. And sarvada vasati is vastu, that which always exists. So nityam is the vastu. So therefore, that which is Sat and nityam, which is Brahman, and that has to be, that is the existence part of it in the air has to be, Brahman has to be recognized. Sishta amsaha vayuhu. And the remaining part is, Sishta amsa means remaining part is the vayu. So there are two things together, and I have to see what is the real part, and real part is the existence. Vayu is, means air is. So everything is only, table is, chair is. So everything, because if he is not there, we cannot talk about it. Gaga bubu is, we cannot say, because there is no gaga bubu. So therefore, whatever is means it exists. That existence part is coming from the truth, because existence alone was there before, and that's why the scripture becomes a pramana for that. So how do I know it exists? I know it exists, but what is the existence itself I cannot know. That is Brahman, is the Sat, is Vastu, that is Brahman, and that has to be recognized by understanding the scriptures. And the rest of it, Sishta Amsaha, means the remaining part is only Nama Rupa, name and a form. Vayu is a name for a form. Form means a property that has this property, therefore it is Vayu, different from a property of the Akasha and other things that we are going to talk. So, Vayur Mithya Yatha Viyatu. Therefore, Yatha Viyatu, just as the space, we did analysis of the space. So, Yatha Viyatu, just as the analysis of the space where we discarded the name and the form and existence as we recognize as the Brahman, and because it came from that Akasha, the Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha. From Atma only it came. So, therefore, there is a Karanam, the cause, and Karyam, the product. And Yatha Viyatu, just as we use the discriminative intellect to differentiate the space and the pure Brahman that is substantive for the space, in the same way, Vayu Mithya. In the same way, one has to recognize that the space is all, the air is also Mithya. Mithya means Sadasat Vilakshanam. That is neither real nor unreal. It is neither real means it is not permanent. It is not unreal because we can experience it. Therefore, it is Mithya. Vasayitva chiram vayohu. So, by constantly contemplating on this aspect, Vasayitva means it is essentially the having contemplating on this chiram vayoho mithyatvam marutam chaded. Slowly, slowly we discard the reality that we associate to the air and recognize the reality that is underlying the air. That has to be understood. And this is true for every object. So he is analyzing starting from a Panchabhuta one by one. So the same discriminative intellect has to be applied. So it is not, a meditation is not sitting and closing your eyes and then doing something. It is, meditation is in and through the perception of what you see. I have to recognize the presence of the two and remove one that is impermanent and recognize the one intellectually. This has to be, because physically I cannot do it. And that's what is the real meditation is. Okay, go to the next one, 87. Chintayedvaknimapyevam maruto nyona vartinam brahmanda varuneshvesha nyonadika vicharana. Together. Chintayedvaknimapyevam maruto nyona vartinam brahmanda varuneshvesha nyonadika vicharana. So chintayed, this has to be contemplated, inquired into. Chintayed means it has to be inquired. Inquiry has to be done only by the intellect. So you need the intellect to inquire. It's not an absence of the mind. It is the mind has to be used to analysis wise. And evam, in this way, vaknim api. So the fire is that is created from the vaknim api means even in the same way the vakni is the fire, api also. So also marutaha, from maruta, it coming from the akashat vayu, vayoho agnihi. So karanam is the vayu and karyam is the agni. So in the same way, first the production of the agni is coming from that, and you have to use the same discriminative intellect what you did for the vayu. So nyuna vartinam. So it is different from the, it is less than maruta. Nyunam is less actually. Marutaha vartinam brahmanda varuneshvesha nyunadika vicharena. So brahmanda avaraneshu. So brahmandam is the whole universe that you are talking about. That is the gross product. Universe, that is, galaxies and all that. Still we haven't come to that. But that is grosser, which is less than this Agni, which is less than the Vayu, which is less than Akasha, which is less than Maya, which is less than Brahman. So this hierarchy has been less than means it is part of it only. So Brahma and Avaraneshu, that covering the whole universe, Yesha, this Nyunadikam Vicharana. So this has to be considered, that the hierarchy in the creation itself, as we go from the Atmana Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Agni Apa, Abja Prithvi, Prithivya Oshadaya, all this is being discussed in the creation. One is less than the next one. One is the previous one, less than the previous one. That has to be understood. So this is all these Panchabhutas he is talking at this level is only subtle elements. Then they are, by Panchikarana process, they become a gross. And that's how the Brahmandas are created. Brahmanda means gross world. So he is going to first Panchikarana, before the Panchikarana means grossification. And we all take one and split it into half, of the remaining half make into 4 parts and distribute all that. That's called Panchikarana process. That's called grossification. But right now we are talking about each element and a subtle element in a pure form. So Sloka 88. Vayor dasham sato nyuno, Vayor dasham sato nyuno, Vahnirvaye prakalpitaha, Puranoktam taratamyam, Dashamsair-bhuta panchake. Okay. Vayoho dashamshataha nyunam. So here he's getting from the information, not from the Vedas, but Puranas. So Puranoktam Taratamyam Dashamsair Bhuta Panchake. So from Puranas he's getting the information. What is the information? One is Dasha Amsha is 1/10. Nyunam means less than 1/10. Means if I take Vayu, I make 10 parts and one less than 1/10 is removed, the rest is this. That means 9/10, right? 9/10 is left. So one is 9/10 of the previous one. Where do you get information? Puranoktam. From the Bhagavatam, in the 3rd chapter Skanda, there is a discussion of the creation. There it is mentioned. So using that information here, and Vidyaranya says, Vayur dasham sato nyunam, Vayur dasham sato nyuno, Vahir vayo prakalpitaha. So Vaknir vayo kalpitaha. So Vakni means the fire, Vayo means from the air, it is created. How is it created? 9/10 of that is created into the fire. Prakalpitaha. Prakalpita is Pakarshena kalpitaha. Kalpanam itself is imagination. So it is imaginary created. So he is using the word, he says not real creation, because real creation, infinite cannot create anything, because creation involves a modification. So it appears to be as though because I am seeing it, therefore there is there. So, but it's not really real creation. How do you say it's not real creation? Says because you have to go back to original state where none of these things are there. So they are coming and going, therefore it's not really real. But whatever comes and goes cannot be real. What is real is only that which is permanent. So how do we know that is that which is all not real and comes and goes? Because when you go to deep sleep state, none of this, neither Vayu, Akasha, space, everything, nothing is there. But I am there. Existence I am is there. So that means that alone is real. Everything else is not really real. So Vaknir Vayu Prakalpitaha. From the Vayu, from the air, the fire is created. From Akasha, Vayu, Vayoho Agnihi. That's how the scripture says. And therefore, and from the Puranas, it is 9/10 of it. Because Dasham Sato Nyunam.
The book says 1/10.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
I know. So Nyunam is there, unfortunately. Nyunam is less than 1/10 of it is there. So, one can, first I thought it's 1/10 of it. No, it is 9/10 of it is what it is. But anyway, it is mithya. So, Dasamsai Bhuta Panchake. So therefore, Dasamsai Bhuta, the gross elements are also from this being formed also. Vakni. But we are going to next one is he has to analyze Vakni and then Apaha and then Prithvi. All those things one by one. I'm going fast because it's the same analysis has to be applied. Vaknirushna prakashatma Vaknirushna prakashatma Purvanugati ratracha Asti Vaknihcha nistatvaha Asti Vaknihcha nistatvaha Sabdavan sparsavanapi Sabdavan sparsavanapi. Together, Vaknirushna prakashatma Purvanugati ratracha Asti Vaknihcha nistatvaha Sabdavan sparsavanapi. So Vaknihi Ushna Prakashata. What are the properties of Vakni's fire? So when it came from the Vayu, it is acquiring its own properties different from the Vayu. A ring came from gold, and in the process of ring coming from gold, it is acquiring its own properties which is different from the gold. So what are the properties of ring which is different from gold? It has ID, OD, all those things that are really properties of the ring only, that nothing to do with the gold. So therefore, when something comes out of it, it has an intrinsic property of the original Karanam, that is, it still has the substantive gold only. So gold properties are still remaining, but at the same time it is presenting its own property which is different from its source, and that's what is here. So what is the properties of the fire which is different from the Vayu? Vayu, Ushnaha Prakashatma. Ushnaha means it has a heat, and Prakasham, the brightness, or the properties as though from the of the fire. Purva Anugati Ratracha. In addition to these properties, it has the Purva Anugati, that which came from previous one. The father, grandfather, great-grandfather, all those, each one it is inheriting some properties. And so Atra, in this, it has Purva Anugati. The essence of previous ones is also coming through. So what is the essence? One is from the Sat point, existent point. From Maya point, it is the Mithya aspect of it. From Akasha point, the Shabda property. From Vayu point, Sparsha property, Shabda Sparsha. And its own property is Rupam. That's what he's going to tell in the next sloka anyway. Asti Vahnihi cha Nistatvam. So Asti, Vahnihi Asti. Asti means the existence is there in the fire. Fire is. So where is the isness coming? Isness coming from the original one, that is from the Satswarupam. And itself is Nistatvam, Nistatvataha. Itself has no real existence separate from pure existence. So if I remove the existence that is coming from, there is no fire also. You cannot have fire, because fire has to be there for me to recognize. Shabdavan, Sparsavan api. So Shabda and Sparsa are coming also from the previous ones. Previous ones means Shabda is from Akasha, Sparsa is from the Vayu. Okay. Okay, next sloka 90. Sanmaya vyoma vayvam saihi. Sanmaya vyoma vayvam saihi. Vayu amsaihi. That is Vayu amsaihi is Vayu amsaihi. Yuktasyaagnir nijo gunaha. Yuktasyaagnir nijo gunaha. Rupam tatra satah sarvam. Rupam tatra satah sarvam. Anyad buddhya vivicyatam. Anyad buddhya vivicyatam. Together. Sanmaya vyoma vyamsaihi. Yuktasyaagnir nijo gunaha. Rupam tatra satah sarvam. Anyad buddhya vivicyatam. So, San, Maya, Vyoma, Vayu, Amsaihi, Yuktasya. So, Sat, Maya, Vyoma, Vayu, Amsaihi, Yuktasya. Yuktasya means, as intellectually we know that we have to find out that each one is coming from previous one. Sun means from the Sat Swarupam, from Maya, from Vyoma. Vyoma is from the space, Vayuhu from the air, Amshahi, each one of it is coming from the property of each one, it is inhaling appropriately. And so from Sun, from Sat, the existence part, from Maya, the Mithya part, from Vyoma, the Shabda part, and Vayu, Sparsha part. So each one it's inhaling, Yuktasya Agnehi, but it has Agnehi, Nijo Gunaha, its own property also it has, besides all the inhering properties from the previous one, and that is Rupam. Rupam is form. So the Agni has a form. In the Mundaka Upanishad, the fire has different forms of fire is being named also. Kala, Kali, Vikali, and all sorts of names. or there are seven names are given for the fire, for depending upon the shape of that fire. Swami says those are good names to give for people. Kali, Vikali, Gopali, Mahakali. So those are the names of the fire itself, is Mundakopanishad discusses. So Rupam Tatra Sataha Sarvam Anyat Bhujya Vivechyatam. So Rupam, so Rupam is the Nijagunam, that its own property is the Rupam. Rupam includes the color and form also, both are included in the. So Rupam, okay, I don't want to get into that. Right? Rupam Tatra Sataha Sarvam Anyat Bhujya Vivechyatam. So that Tatra, in that case, Anyat Sarvam, all other things, it is coming from the Sat Bhujya, Sattvam, that is from the Sat Swarupam on, or coming from the previous properties. And Bhujya, by proper Viveka, using the intellect, you have Vivechyatam, one has to discriminate. So here is emphasizing the Viveka is required in order to discriminate. This is the Viveka that is required for the spiritual growth. That means in the world, I am going to see always two things together. One is the Brahman, another is Mithya. That is always there. So I had to use the discriminative intellect to separate these two. For me to use the discriminative intellect, my intellect itself should be subtle, because this is not a gross mixture, it's a very subtle mixture, and therefore I have to use my subtle intellect to differentiate what is real and unreal part of it, while dealing with the unreal part in the unreal reference, and understanding the real part while doing the unreal part. And the point is that unreal part, you should not give the reality to it, which means you should not get carried away with the things that are really unreal. All our things is only we are giving more importance to the unreal and forgetting the real. That's the whole problem. Human problem is we are giving more importance to the names and forms, and including our own body, including our BMI, this one, we are giving more importance to what I think, what I do, what I feel, all those things, because they are all unreal, and giving more importance to it, forgetting that I am pure consciousness which doesn't think, which cannot think also. Why? Because it's infinite. Infinite cannot think. Mind can only think. So that has to be understood. Rupam tatra sataha sarvam anyat bhujya vivechyatam. So bhujya vivechyatam. So one has to use the intellect to discriminate what is real and what is unreal in each step. Throat is up. It's an exercise. Okay, 91. Sato vivechite vaknaihi mithyatve sati vasite apo dasham shato nyunaha kalpita iti chintayet. Together, sato vivechite vaknaihi mithyatve sati vasite apo dasham shato nyunaha kalpita iti chintaye. So sataha vaknaihi vivechite. So that sataha vaknaihi, in the vakni, in the fire, what is the existence part has to be inquired into. So the fire is, so each part is coming from the Brahman, that has to be recognized, and mithyatve vasite, and the rest of it is fire and form and all that properties. Mithya is only not real or unreal. That is called mithya. And sati dasham shati nyunaha. So from the existence in the pure self or the pure existence, dasham shataha nyunaha, is previous to one is less than 1/10 of it is this one. So kalpitaha iti chintayet. You have to recognize that this is less than less than 1/10 of less than that previous one. Therefore, it is 9/10 of the previous one is what? Vayuhu. But more important is to recognize what is Sat in that and what is Asat in that. That's always. Okay, 91. Santyapo muhu sunya tattvaha. Santyapo muhu sunya tattvaha. Sashabda sparsha samyutaha. Rupavatsonnya dharmasu. Rupavastonyya dharmasu. Rutyasviyo raso gunaha. Rutyasviyo raso gunaha. Together. Samtyopo muhu sunya tattvaha. Sashabda sparsha samyutaha. Rupavatsonnya dharmasu. Rutyasviyo raso gunaha. So, apaha, the thing is, apaha means waters. Water is always plural. So, things have suddenly changed into plurality here. So, until then he was looking at the ekavachanam, suddenly he is putting a new plurality. So, apaha is waters. And waters, santi. Santi is because it is exist, waters exist. Amuhu. So therefore that which is these waters exist. Exist means there is an existence in the water, and existence coming from the Satsvarupam. Sasabda sparsa samyutaha. So, or sunya tattvaha. The rest is the waters by itself. The existence part is coming, and everything else is sunya tattva. Sunyam here is the mithya here. So everything else is mithya. Whatever is the truth is the existent part in the water. Say water exists, that part is the existence part is real, and everything else is mithya. Sashabda sparsha samyutaha rupavatsonnya dharmanu rutyasviyo raso gunaha. So, sa sabda sparsha samyutaha, along with sabda sparsha. Sabda is coming from this space, sparsha is coming from the vayu, and samyutaha together, sabda sparsha, rupa also, and rupavat. Rupavatsyaha, that which is with the form also. Anya dharma anuruttaha. All these dharma is anurutta is coming from the previous ones, from the akasha, vayu, agni. All these three properties are coming from, inhering from previous properties, plus it has its own property, and rutya sviyo raso gunaha. Sviya gunaha, says the Sviya Gunaha Rasaha. Rasa, its own properties, Rasam. Rasam is taste. So, according to physics, our chemistry, waterless, colorless, tasteless, and all that. But every taste comes because of the water only. Without water, you cannot taste anything. So, it is a vehicle for all the tastes also. Rasohamapsyu kaunteya. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, I am the taste in the waters. So how do you, it's very interesting. When you taste something, if you look at how do you taste it? What exactly is the taste? Putting the tongue and the material and the tongue is their only thing, right? Matter is only in the tongue, but taste is coming to you somewhere. The recognition of the taste itself is what? How do you know? That's why he says, I am the taste in everything. Up to starting from, if your mouth is dry, you cannot taste anything. You need a mouth water in order to taste even anything at all. But what exactly is the taste? That's what Lord says, I am the one. So you should recognize the presence of the Lord also. Because taste is. Because he is expressing himself in the rasam also. Raso Vaisaha is in the Upanishad. The rasam is Ananda rasam. Ananda rasam is I am the Ananda rasam. That is in the Upanishad. When say their rasam, it's not a taste, it is Ananda rasam. So this Sviyaha is rasogunaha. Its own property is coming from from as a rasam. So water has inherent properties of the first sat swarupam from the sat, and from the akasha sabdam. Sabdam is the buddha dvani, right? That's what he described. Water is a buddha dvani. So coming from the akasha and sparsha and the rupam also, it takes whatever rupam that you put in, right? That's what the rupam is. And only additional property that it has, that which others didn't have, is the rasam. I don't know how fire tastes though, if you want to try it, but according to him, fire is only burning. So if you think that is burning is a taste, that's a different taste. You lose all the taste if you start burning your tongue. Okay, we go 93 now. Sato vivechita swapsyuhu, sato vivechita swapsyuhu, tanmitsyatve cha vasite, tanmitsyatve cha vasite, bhomirdasham shato nyuna, bhomirdasham shato nyuna. Now I am going to split here, it's too complex here. Kalpita apsu iti chintayet. Kalpita apsu iti chintayet. Okay, together. Sato vivechita apsu sanmitsyatve cha vasite bhomirdasham shato nyuna kalpita apsu iti chintayet. Kalpita apsu iti chintayet. Kalpita api, kalpita apsu iti. Apsu iti is apsu plus u plus va, e comes va. So va is coming from the sandhi. Apsu iti chintayet. So sataha apsu vivechitasu. So having discriminated this sat from the waters by using viveka, tan mithyatvecha vasite, that it is itself is unreal and the existence reality is coming from the sat. Having discriminated this, that means I had to use the discrimination as my sadhana, as a part, until it becomes natural to me. Now, from this waters is the Prithvi created. Purdit dasham sato nyuna kalpita apsu iti chintayet. So it is kalpita apsu from the waters, says bhumi dasham sato nyunaha. So 1/10 less is what is bhumi has been created. Iti chintayet. This has to be recognized as it came from the Puranas, from the Bhagavatam. So therefore, he is going to go to next level. From the waters, the Prithvi has come. And how did the Prithvi has come? It is going to inherit some properties of the father, grandfather, great-grandfather, all that, plus its own property also, that he is going to tell. So one is the product of the previous one. And in the 94, he is going to talk about what is the property that it inherited. Asti bhustastva sunyasyam, asti bhustatva sunyasyam, sabdasparsho sarupakau, sabdasparsho sarupakau, rasascha parato gandho, rasascha parato gandho, nijai satta vivicchatam, nijai satta vivicchatam. Together. Asti bhustastva sunyasyam, sabdasparsho sarupakau, rasascha parato gandho, nijai satta vivicchatam. So bhuhu asti. What happened? Naijai, yes. Gandho naijai. Nijatva swarupam is naijai, basically. So, asti bhustatva sunyaswam. Bhuhu asti. So, earth exists. And that existence is that Sat Swarupam is coming from the Sat itself. Asti bhutas tattvam sunyasyam sunyaha asyam. So tatya sunyaha, though the mithya aspect, sunya means here is mithya. So mithya aspect is coming from the maya, asyam, of the earth. Sabda sparso sarupako. So sabda, sparsa and rupa, all those things coming from the previous entities. And rasascha, including rasa also, from the rasa is from the waters, and rupa is from the fire, sparsa is from the air, and sabda is from the akasha. So each one, it is inhering from each one of that, because one is the cause for the previous one. And rasascha, so, and parataha gandhaha naijaha satta vivacchatam. So that which is all are parataha means all are inherited from the previous ones, all those previous sabda, sparsa, rupa, rasa, gandha. So except gandha. Gandhaha naijaha satta vivacchatam. So naijaha gandhaha. So its own quality is, its smell is its own quality. So each one has its own particular quality, plus inheres the other particular qualities of each one, that special properties of the previous ones, and this has to be recognized. Here vivicchatam has to be understood. And what is that I have to use discrimination? Discrimination is what is the all other is coming, it is mithya aspects only, and what is the sat aspect is from the original one, that is Brahman, and everything else is mithya. That means they are properties, and all properties belong to mithya only, because sat doesn't have any property. The existence cannot have, is nirgunam, infinite, so it doesn't have its own property. Even though we call it sat itself, it exists as a property of existence, it's only for our, just like golden ring. Golden ring is, golden has become an adjective, but gold is the really substantive, ring is only as a form. So in the same way, everything has become an adjective. The truth is that sat is the essence of it, and that has to be intellectually, I have to discriminate what is nityam in this and what is anityam in that, and that's what is viveka is required. So the next sloka is also about Bhumi, and then he goes to Brahmanda. We are analyzing the subtle elements, and then grossification, and then goes to the gross worlds in the next sloka. Prutakrutayam sattayam, prutakrutayam sattayam, bhumir mithya visishyate, bhumir mithya visishyate, bhumir dasham shato nyunam, bhumir dasham shato nyunam, brahmandam bhumi madhyagam, brahmandam bhumi madhyagam. Together, Prutakrutayam sattayam, bhumir mithya visishyati, bhumir dasham shato nyunam, brahmandam bhumi madhyagam. So satyayam prutakrutayam. So having discriminated, now assuming that we are going step by step quickly, but we have to spend each one to analyze that this is real and that's not real. That should remain permanent in our knowledge from now on. So even though class is going on, this discriminative process has to occur in your mind or in everyone's mind as a part of sadhana to see what is real and what's unreal. Has to be done. Atma, Anatma, Vichara has to go on. That's called Nididhyasana now. So Pruthak is differences. Says Pruthak Krutayam Sattayam. Having differentiated the Sat part from each of the elements, that means we already done differentiation from all the 5 elements. You have differentiated that the Sat aspect of it in each of the 5 elements. Bhumir mithya visishyate, and recognize that even the world that you see is mithya only. That means anything that is gross is mithya only, that's all. But even though here you're talking about subtle element only, in the Bhumi also subtle element here. avasishyate. So this has to be realized that this part is the mithya part, and that is mithya means it is only appearing to be there, and appearance is real within the frame of reference. So don't get confused with this. Says, oh, this is not real and I don't have to do anything. What is doing and not doing is also within the unreal only. So in the Yoga Vasishta, after listening to Vasishta, Rama says everything he says mithya, 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 mithya. How can it be mithya? So he sends, when Vasishta is coming, he sends an elephant to chase him. And Vasishta ran away from the elephant. See, how can it be mithya? So when he comes back, I say, he confronts him. You said everything is mithya, but why did you run away? He said, Rama, running is also mithya. So action has to be done at that level. So don't get confused with this, because these Advaitins are also everything is mithya, but everything they transact and then do this and they want this and they want that. All this means they are wanting that and wanting this is also mithya. Has to be recognized. So at the same time, whatever I do within the mithya has to be dharma. Have to be follow that. Just because it's mithya doesn't mean I can go and slap everybody. Hey, this is mithya only. He will slap you back. He will slap you back. So the mithya has to be understood clearly, because it follows the dharma also. It is not random creation. It is a creation within. It is a creation itself. Creation means order is there, and that order is dharma has to be followed, and that's what is essentially. So dharma has to be within the realm of that mithya only. Has to be done. At the same time, we have to recognize the play. It is a game that has to be played, but it is a game only. I can wash my hands and comfortably sleep without having any worries. If I have a worry about the game, then game is over. When you're playing, you should play. But after the play, end of story. So that's what is the differences has to be understood. So all this analysis has to be clearly understood in what reference also. Otherwise we get confused in terms of what Advaita is and to whom. That's why these things are not taught to the teenagers and all that, because they have to still struggle and establish themselves in the world. Everything is mithya. I'm going to sit down and do anything. Anyway, it's mithya. Why should I necessarily? Only after acquiring everything, then you can sit back and do mithya part. Otherwise, there won't be any food on the table. Remember, I told the story of all the brahmacharis say everything aham brahmasmi, everything is mithya and all that. So Swamiji told the kitchen people not to cook for them because everything mithya anyway. So everybody, when hunger comes, then all the mithya stories goes away and they drain. First you need to everything is full and comfortable, sleep and all that, then you can talk about mithya. So when somebody is starving, don't talk about philosophy, everything is mithya. You have to first quench his thirst and everything. And for this you need a viveka. You need a discrimination. A hungry man cannot have viveka. First you have to feed him and then we can talk about philosophy also. If you overfeed him, he will sleep when you talk. So you have to be careful. So here, this Panchabhutas, the 5 elements, subtle elements have been discussed. Now from that is a grossification is coming in, and the grossification involves Panchikarana process that we all know, where each element divides into half, and one half of each element that is divides into 4 parts and distribute to other elements. Like that everything again becomes full. So Akasha has half of its part and 1/4 of Apaha, Agni, the rest of the 4 elements, making it complete, and that's called grossification, Panchikaranam. And once it is grossified and the whole creation is Brahmandam has been created from the gross matter, okay, not from the subtle matter. Subtle matter is too subtle to do anything. So from after grossification, all that. So there are how many Brahmandas, all the galaxies, everything that you think of, Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaka, Koti Brahmanda, there is a course of this, according to our own. Crores and crores. So we don't know how many galaxies also, we don't know how many are there. But all that part of only one world. This is only is called both, this is called total called Earth only, universe. There are 14 lokas also. So that also has to be imagined. So here all that is 1/10, less than 1/10 of the previous one. Remember the same ratio is going through. And that's what he's telling here. Prutak krutayam sattayam bhumir mithya visishyate. So one has, after recognizing that bhumi is also mithya, and in the mithya, every mithya, there is always sat part as the very substantive. So in every mithya, there is a sat also. That I had to recognize through viveka, through discrimination. And then he goes into the next creation, says, Bhumer dasam tato nyunam brahmandam bhumi madhyagam. So from the Brahman, the whole Brahmandam, Brahma means Andam is egg, as though it is created as an egg, as the egg shape. But that whole is infinite Brahmandam is because of the gratification came as 1/10, less than 1/10 of it is being defined. That is 9/10 of that is became the Brahmandam. So now he is going to go to grosser aspects where we had to use the discrimination. He has used the 5 elements to describe. So it is a Panchabhuta, and Panchabhuta includes now the grossification, because this is what I see. Only gross things I see. So 96 talks about the Brahmanda aspect. So from here, already 9:30, so 10:30. So from here on, he's going to talk about the gross world discrimination, and then he talks about the jnana phalam. What do I gain by the jnana? After discrimination, I establish myself, not that I am, that has to be understood. And when I understood, what is the nature of the experience of the jnani also is going to talk about in the rest of the chapter. So with that, we will stop. So we covered up to 95, 80, 85 to 90, verses 85 to 95. This is for the reference there. Okay, let's do Purnamada, Purnamidam. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.